I want to talk about the difference between thick and thin leaders. I've taken this particular image of thick and thin leaders. I once asked the question at a group of leaders, how many of you believe you are thick leaders? And you can imagine I got a fairly negative response. Thin and thick leading for me is a particular notion of understanding. I've borrowed it from the work of a very eminent scholar in the field, Henry Mintzberg. But whenever I've used this idea, I think people begin to understand what I'm talking about. By thin leading, I mean those people who tend to have little understanding of what is happening throughout the organization. They may focus their attention on abstractions and figures and plans, which are lacking in reality, which are lacking in understanding of what is happening at the base of the organization, in interactions with customers, in interactions with clients, in interactions internally with each other. Thin leaders become disconnected very soon, but they completely carry on with the myth that they are controlling the organization. This is a difficulty for leaders. This particular diagram is formed on the basis of two dimensions. The first dimension is a vertical dimension. It's a dimension from the top to the bottom. It is the hierarchy by another name. As you can see, I regard the top of the organization, then they talk about the low level of the organization at street level. But it is the dimension that grows across, the horizontal dimension, which I think starts to make us sensible as to the possibilities of what can happen. The horizontal dimension goes from, it's a geographic dimension. It goes from high geography, which means centralization. My dimension of the horizontal dimension is high when the organization is centralized, and that where people are located close to the center. My dimension on the right-hand side of low geography is where people become moved away from the center. They are dispersed. They are dispersed because they might work away from the central office. They are dispersed because they might work in branches. People at my table have been working in branches. What's important about people who work away from the center? They develop a different kind of understanding and knowing, and they do that through learning because of where they are and who they are working with and who they interact with. What's important here is to see the way that domination tends to occur. In the top left-hand corner of the diagram, as you can see from the top left-hand corner, I'm talking about managers and leaders who are working with abstractions. They are required to do it because they are required to prepare the accounts. They are required to prepare the company reports. What they tend to do is they tend to filter out difficult stuff. Whoever saw a company report that talked about the complete mess our organization is in, or the very difficult stuff of dealing with customers and clients? So what's important about the top left-hand corner? I see it as thin knowledge, and a reduction away from the complexity of what is really happening. For the conference and for further questions, leaders must get out of the office. They must understand distributed leadership, and most of all, they must learn to talk with other leaders and talk with their staff. Thank you.